You know that feeling when you look at your bank account and it just feels old, like a time capsule from another era? Well, you are definitely not alone. We're in the middle of this massive financial breakup, and you know what? Technology is the one leading the charge. To really get a handle on what's happening, we've got to start with a surprisingly huge number and a very, very expensive pizza.
So, $1.1 billion. What in the world does this have to do with your wallet? Well, it all goes back to a story about a very, very pricey dinner.
That's right, you heard that correctly. Back in 2010, a developer bought 2 pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoin, which was worth, about 41 bucks at the time. Today, that is $1 billion meal. And this isn't just some quirky factoid. It's a perfect symbol of this massive, kind of wild transformation that's forcing all of us to rethink everything we thought we knew about money.
Okay, so to see where finance is headed, we first have to understand what it's leaving behind. And the traditional banking system, the one we've known for centuries, well, it's facing a bit of an existential crisis.
So here's the bottom line. That old playbook of just taking in our deposits and then lending them out, it just isn't working like it used to. The profit margins are getting squeezed super tight, and honestly, the whole foundation is starting to look pretty shaky.
This right here really shows the disconnect, doesn't it? On one side, you've got the banks kind of bogged down by all this ancient, obsolete infrastructure. And on the other side, you have us, the customers, who now expect a totally seamless digital experience for literally everything. It's a fundamental clash, and something's got to give.
And right into that gap, that's where the disruptors are stepping in. See, they're not trying to build a new bank from scratch. Nope, they're taking the old one apart, piece by piece, and offering a way better version of each individual service. This is the great unbundling.
Think about it for a second. When you get a loan directly through Shopify to stock your online store, or when your Uber app just seamlessly handles your payment to the driver, that's embedded finance. It's finance becoming invisible, just woven into the fabric of our digital lives. And make no mistake, this is not some tiny niche trend. This market is absolutely exploding. It's projected to grow more than tenfold in just 5 years. This is a seismic shift in how money moves around the planet, and it's all happening right under our noses. This whole unbundling thing is also tearing down some really old walls. For decades, sophisticated wealth management, it was like flying first class, strictly reserved for the very wealthy. And everyone else? Well, we were pretty much on our own. Technology is completely changing that equation.
And this slide right here is the proof. The chart shows the probability of people making an initial deposit. Before the change, look at that. You see that huge spike right at the $5,000 mark, which was the minimum investment? But when the robo-advisor Wealthfront dropped that minimum all the way down to just 500 bucks, poof, that spike just disappears. The barrier to entry was just gone. Investing suddenly became way more accessible.
So the takeaway here is actually pretty powerful. All these sophisticated financial tools that were once super exclusive are now available to almost everybody. Technology isn't just changing banking, it's democratizing access to building wealth.
But this unbundling, it isn't just about services like investing. Oh no, the revolution goes way deeper, all the way down to the very definition of money itself. And this brings us to a major clash of ideas: decentralized cryptocurrencies versus government-backed digital currencies. The world of crypto, right? It promised to be this decentralized paradise, but man, has it been a wild ride. In 2022 alone, the market lost $1.8 trillion. As one expert put it, that's not just like dropping a 20 on the street, that's like accidentally erasing the entire GDP of Canada. So, naturally, governments are looking at all this chaos and thinking, what if we could have the cool tech without all the turmoil? And that's where the central bank digital currency, or CBDC, comes in. It's kind of like a digital dollar. It has the efficiency of crypto, but with the stability and backing of a central bank.
This table really breaks it all down. You've got cryptocurrencies, they're private, they're decentralized, and they're backed by whatever the market thinks they're worth. CBDCs, on the other hand, are just like the cash in your wallet. They're issued and backed by a central government. It's a fundamental split, not just in technology, but in philosophy.
And this isn't some fringe experiment either. More than 130 countries, and that represents 98% of the global economy, are already exploring or even launching their own CBDCs. A completely new era of money is basically right on the horizon.
Of course, you can't just blow up the old system without facing some massive new challenges. A financial world that's built on computer code needs a whole new rulebook for regulation, for risk, and for security.
Okay, now here's a number that is downright terrifying if you're a traditional bank. One study suggests that for every single dollar that moves into a government-run CBDC, private banks could lose 80 cents in deposits. That's not just disruption, my friends. That's a potential detonation of the entire commercial banking industry.
And you better believe governments are scrambling to keep up. Just in the US, you've got this whole alphabet soup of agencies. The SEC for securities, the FTC for consumer protection, all trying to jam these brand new technologies into old dusty rulebooks. It's a super complex and overlapping puzzle.
And let's not forget the biggest risk of all in a digital world, security. The annual global cost of cybercrime is a staggering $10.5 trillion. As our money becomes pure data, the question of who protects it and how, well, that becomes one of the most critical challenges we face.
Okay, so we've seen the old world crumbling, we've seen the new world being built. But this all leads to one final, really crucial question about the kind of future we're actually creating.
This slide really captures the core dilemma here. On one hand, these new systems could bring 2 billion unbanked people into the global economy. That's amazing. But on the other hand, they could threaten the stability of the entire banking system as we know it. It's a super delicate balance with absolutely massive stakes.
So, ultimately, this is what it all comes down to. The technology is here. We can build this new world of finance. We absolutely have the tools. But as we stand right on the edge of this incredible possibility, the real challenge isn't whether we can do it, it's whether we can build a system that's not just more efficient, but more inclusive, more secure, and one that truly works for everyone. That is the real revolution.